We're week three
Week 3.
in our senior year.
And Barry happened to be in the wrong place in the hallway at
I
the right
was
time.
getting food, and you guys called me up here for something
Yeah,
important.
we put
Well,
a bag
you know,
over his
we-
head and threw him in the trunk of the car and drag him up
We
here.
planned this stuff pretty far in advance.
Yeah, I'm a little worried here. We'll have to keep the questions simple. I'm not that bright. Just
Well,
remember that.
week three was an interesting week. Just for the viewers to know that we don't yet have any bills on the floor, but we have 287 of them in committees right
Yeah.
now. So
That's a record.
So committee work is just
Yep.
insane. I mean,
Yep.
I just went through 2 different committees that were simultaneous. I was running back and forth, and we do stuff that lots and lots of people come up here. We started a committee hearing at 8 o'clock this morning. We went in to a short session, and we re-adjourned afterwards, and it's still going on. Actually,
Right.
we'll probably go back there, but we've got a lot of participation from our citizens. We welcome that, and we want to hear that. So that's why we have the committee hearings. Barry, what have you been up to?
Well, finishing up our last year, I will say that it's been a great honor to serve with both of you gentlemen. I always tell people when you get up here, because depending on what bill that I'm supporting or not supporting, I'll get calls on either side of it.
Right.
And this year we've got some truth and sentencing stuff that I've been working on for several years, being a former police officer. I've got one dealing with some tort reform that's very important, I think, to help some of our companies. Midwest Sterilization, which is in Jackson, Missouri, has got an issue, and trying to do some things with that. And I've got one dealing with the death penalty review. So those are 3 big bills, along with some others I got, and it's hopefully we'll get some more movement on them.
And when you come up here, like you have a deep background in law enforcement, and me in engineering, and we come up here and we think, well, we're going to focus on what our strength is.
Yeah.
But you are also heavily into the Missouri's different retirement programs for the employees.
Yeah, I was blessed when I was in law enforcement to serve as the city rep for loggers, which is local government retirement systems, and I've been going for several years as a city. I got voted in as that rep there to handle that, and then there was an opening, and I ran for board and got to serve on the board for loggers for 4 years, 5 years almost, and then when I got up here and we started writing down on those little piece of papers what we're good at, I was in law enforcement, I served on the board. Next thing I know, I'm on pensions.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, you must have some knowledge about it.
Yeah, they put me on pensions for one term, and I said, I really don't know anything about it. I don't belong here. You need to find other people, and they did.
Well, we all have our strengths.
And of course, I'm on the Mosers board, as you well know, and I think that the participation by folks like you has actually made a difference. I mean, I probably don't have as deep a knowledge on that, except that I'm to the point in my age where I'm starting to take advantage of some of my retirement stuff.
Are you going to be a triple dipper?
It looks like it, right?
I used to argue about, we don't want triple dippers in this world, but, police pension, we get a little, not much, but a little pension up here for being a state rep, and I'm going to get Social Security, so that makes me a triple dipper, don't it?
Well, and the way it's gone right now is that you just about have to be in order to survive afterwards.
You just want to be comfortable. Of course, I've always been a big advocate. My dad taught me to save money growing up. He goes, we went to church, so he says, you pay the Lord, you pay yourself, then you pay all your bills. And if you can't afford that stuff, you better get within where you can pay it. So,
Yeah,
think
tell
good
everybody
advice.
where you're from, because you have a beautiful home.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Cape Girardeau is the county that I serve in. We have 3 reps in that county. I serve where the county seat is and have about 3/4 of the county, or 2/3. And then Representative Voss has the city of Cape Girardeau, and we have a gentleman that has part of the southwest part of the county, because we've got about 80,000 there. I grew up just west of there in Wayne County, north of Poplar Bluff, very rural area, part of the Ozarks, and raised cattle. We ran a sawmill. My grandfather had 7 sons, and I always asked Grandma, I said, why did you have 7 sons? She goes, well, I was trying to have a girl, and I just never was successful and got too old to have any more. So I had some pretty mean uncles growing up, but they were good men.
There you go.
I had an opposite problem. I had 7 sisters.
Oh, well, you poor thing. No wonder you're the way you are.
Exactly.
And I had 2 sisters, so I've been whipped all my life.
So something that you're just not going to get done that you really wanted to get done. Can you think of anything?
Yeah, there's one that pops up. Right to repair for agricultural and construction equipment. You know, a lot of people realize that on automotives, you can go to your little part-time shop, you can go to a dealer shop.
You can buy a scanner right
You
from
can
the-
buy a
from the
scanner,
parts
or you
store.
can buy a big scanner and
Yeah.
plug it in. You buy one license, and it doesn't expire. You can buy an update, and it'll last for 5 years if you choose to do that, or you can buy updates, and
Yeah.
it'll work on every car.
Right?
You know, interestingly, I was invited out to Las Vegas at the SEMA show.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, this is all the manufacturers of aftermarket things you would put on your car.
Right.
And they have the same problem.
Yep.
For example, if you put bigger tires on your big SUV,
Mhm.
all of the electronics, all of the you know, lane changing deals and your
Mhm.
self braking, all of that change,
Mhm.
and the automotive industry won't tell you how to readjust it.
Yeah, you got to take it to someone who's got
take
the
it to
equipment.
them.
And it's the same
Right.
thing with I can make the repair on my tractor, but if it's linked to the new tractors, to the computer, I've got to call John Deere to come out and do the programming. And
At $500 an hour.
750 is the call out for 1 hour in my area. And I can replace the part, plug it in, but the computer won't recognize it until they unlock the code and allow it to recognize it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I've told people that, you know, in farming, when you're planting or you're harvesting, and I'm going to use a term I got in trouble for, but it's balls to the wall out there. You're trying to
Yeah.
get stuff done, and you don't have time to wait on a technician to come out. And if you've got a secondary technician or a secondary repair shop, they can't afford to go buy each individual company's, you know, like some of them carry their own programming. It's $5,000 a year. If you own 2 tractors, you're not going to pay $5,000 a year to have that.
And of course, Saturday afternoon when your combine breaks down, you're not going to find
they're not
somebody to come
working,
out.
or it's a
That's
special
right.
call out for an additional charge.
And it seems so obvious because when you and I were kids, you know, we could fix the tractor
About everything.
and we could take care of the problem right there.
Mhm.
But I owned the tractor.
Yes, you
But
did.
unfortunately, because the way the way it is now is that suddenly I have to pay someone else to use the vehicle I already
Right.
bought from them.
Yeah.
So that I love your bill because it is what I call a people bill.
It
right?
is.
It
It's-
is.
it's
There's
something
no
I think
lobbyist
will-
out there pushing for it, but
Yeah.
it would actually help. The average citizen out here, and quite honestly, you know, I don't know about the urban areas, but every single person I know owns a tractor.
Yeah.
Every single one.
I was going to do a commercial on it. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I was going to do a Star Wars sequel to it, and I was going to have them in there, and they're trying to get away from the spaceship that's trying to lock them in, and they're getting ready to shoot them, and he's yelling at the Wookiee and says, "You need to get this thing warp drive fixed right now." And so you hear him down there working, and I was going to have Wookiee pop up and say,
Call
"I
John
can't
Deere."
get it. I got to call them and get the codes. They won't let me fix it," and they blow up. I thought that'd been a funny.
All right, we
commercial.
need to get
John
back.
Deere.
That's all right, we need to get back to regular stuff.
What we did this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very interesting week. You know, we heard the beginning of what it looks like will be the opportunity to overturn the state's income tax.
Yes.
Yeah.
All types of rumors out there. Oh, you're going to
There is.
raise sales tax 17%. I've actually seen some models where we could expand it into, you know, lawyers and accountants and all of that on the sales tax, and do away with the income tax and lower the sales tax. But everybody's having a fit because they don't know the details,
That's
because
the
there
key.
are no details yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, this is all to be determined because we need to look at it. And frankly, if you know, somebody said, "Oh, you're going to raise sales tax 17%," nobody would vote for that.
Right.
There's not a person in this
Well,
building who would
and,
vote for
and
that.
as you and I had a discussion before, that of course always the devil's in the details, but in truth, you know, people are talking about exceptions, and when you start talking about exceptions, we never get done talking about exceptions, and so we need to bite the bullet on this. I am a company. My company is the one is going to be one of them that's going to have to pay this potential fee, and we don't know what that is yet. We don't even know that there's going to be one, the service fee. But I pay my
Sales tax.
clients.
It's a sales
It's basically a
It's
sales
use
tax
tax,
on
yeah.
services.
Use tax, yeah.
But no, regardless, if I'm paying that through an income tax, through a corporate income tax, or income tax through my employees or me, my customers are paying for it anyway. And so
It's a pass-through cost.
But they're already paying you and your competitors
the same
for
thing.
the sales tax, for the
Right.
income tax, because you put that as a cost of your business into the product to begin with. So it's already there.
I will trade that bookkeeping every single day for the bookkeeping associated with the income
you know,
tax.
so this year we're just asking the taxpayers, would you like us to tackle this? It
Right.
didn't say we do it. It didn't say we want you to do any particular thing. It's just getting their permission to
Right,
actually look at it.
Right. There's
And,
some constitutional changes that have to be made in order to be
So,
able to do this.
No, I've told people, because I've had a lot of questions on this, and you know, you've got some counties that rely more on personal property and taxes that come through there. There's been talk about those. You know, I had an uncle that lived in St. Louis. He had a lot of rentals up there. His CPA recommended that he leave Missouri because he could save his Missouri income tax. So he moved to Florida and he deduct his expenses back and
Yeah,
forth.
and everybody thinks that, this
Oh.
is going to kill local government. This is the state.
This is the
income
state we're
tax.
dealing with.
This isn't the local stuff. So,
Right.
And
and actually, the triggers on it say that if we exceed what we're supposed to take in, we're going to use it to do away with personal property tax and
Yeah.
other things like that.
It goes
so
toward
there,
that, yeah.
there are benefits to this.
well, one
but
of the
let's
things,
see how it works
yeah,
out.
I agree.
Right?
I think you should always evaluate something to see if there's better ways to do it.
Well, you know, our good friend Darren Chappell will say over and over, if you keep doing the same thing over in time, you're never going to change.
Yeah. Well, there was a testimony that went a little something like this. This boggles my mind. Someone suggested that because we don't know what that legislature is going to do, I would rather keep it the way it is.
Yeah.
And which makes absolutely no sense, because this is what we've been complaining about for years.
This state hasn't grown in 25 years. If
We've been way behind.
If we continue on this, we are going to become irrelevant.
Well, Tennessee
We can't
grew
do
at
it.
10% plus. The two prior censuses, this last one they backed off, we've been growing from 1 to 3. And their population has increased dramatically. They did 3 things there. They did tort reform. They got rid of their income tax.
Right.
Yeah.
So businesses are going to go to states like that, which is going to grow them. There'll be more people move there. Our kids may leave here and go somewhere else.
But-
I don't want my kids going somewhere else. I want them to stay here in
People
Missouri.
vote with their feet.
70% of them are going to Tennessee. It's only 30% of them coming the other direction.
When you look at the top 10 states where people are moving into, they are the states that have done away with their income tax or lowered it
That is not a
substantially.
coincidence.
That is not a
Not a
coincidence,
coincidence.
because the top 10 states that they're moving out of are the ones that have high income.
There was also a
That's right.
suggestion that, well, it's really the federal income tax. People don't care about the state income tax. Well, that's actually number one when companies are trying to relocate, as far as whenever they're trying to entice their employees to go with them, is the number one thing they're looking for is, do you have a state income tax? And so, but be that as it may, in those higher income earners, that state income tax does make a big difference.
And a tell on this is that we put into statute a number of years ago triggers that have lowered our income tax
Already, yes.
from about 7% down to
Whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah, 4 point something.
4.7.
Yeah.
And each year since we've done that and lowered the income tax, revenues have increased.
Revenue has increased.
Every year.
Yeah, brought that out in committee. That it's which absolutely is what we learned from supply side economics. It worked. The Reagan administration, I won't say created it, but made it policy, and it worked to a T. And it was working here in Missouri.
Well, we also had an interesting event yesterday. We generally have what we have the Supreme Court comes over and gives us the state of the judiciary. For the first time ever, I was asked to be on the escort committee.
That's probably what doomed it.
To
I was too.
Oh,
so,
well, then we know for sure now.
to escort the justices into the chamber. Turned out we had to escort them out of the building, but we did not allow them to come in. The Senate had decided that they were going to boycott. They weren't really even going to boycott. They were going to come in, and when they began to speak, exit, which we felt would be a little embarrassing. And this all stemmed from a ruling. And the Supreme Court, all we ask in the Supreme Court is some consistency. They have used the idea that single subject in a bill is something that under law that it says that we should have single subject bills.
Right.
And we get that. But they have approved bills that were unbelievably not subject or single subject. Clean Missouri, for example, had redistricting in it. It had campaign finance in it. It had term limits in it. It had all of these things in it that was absolutely not single subject. But they thought, oh, that's okay.
Well, there was also Medicaid expansion.
Medicaid
Expansion, which clearly by the Constitution, certainly I'm not a lawyer, not a Supreme Court justice, but a normal reading by the average individual would tell you that any initiative petition must require the way to pay for it. Well,
it's very clear in the Constitution that if you have something that has a cost, you have to say where the funding has come from.
Exactly. Yeah. And so they made the determination that it didn't in that case. And now Medicaid expansion is a $360 million hole in our budget.
What they said was, okay, yeah, it didn't say where the funds were coming from, but you're obligated to fund it.
Yes.
Because it's part of the Medicaid program, which is a little bit of Rube Goldberg thinking on, certainly when it comes to what was intended by the Constitution, in my opinion. But the point of that is that Medicaid expansion is the exact reason why that was put in there, because as I said, that's a $360 million hole in our budget and getting worse.
And the people that put that on there,
from it now.
if you remember,
Absolutely.
said it would be $1 billion savings and cost us no more than $200 million.
Yeah.
Right.
And now we were almost double the $200 million,
Right.
It is
which I think
it's more than 360. I think it's
No,
closer
that's
to-
the hole. That's the money that we can't come up with to
right
fill
now,
it.
right.
so. There's
What-
actually more now than that. So,
No, 100%. What we were doing was we were using reserves to fill that hole over the last few
and
years,
they're running out.
and we're out of reserves.
yeah. So
And-
what are we going to cut? Is it going to be education now
That's-
because we got to do this?
Well,
I
if we
mean, how are
do
gonna
that, there'll be a big fit on it.
Go ahead and take it back to the people.
Well, so some of that's
So-
already being done.
So the courts
from
overturned Senate Bill 22, and they did it for political reasons. There's no other reason.
Some
they
say
did
that. I agree.
That bill had some restrictions on how the courts could rewrite our ballot language. Frankly, I don't see how the courts, if we put ballot language into the law, and they want to rewrite it, I don't remember the separation of states or separation of powers
Right. Yeah.
gave them any right to legislate.
That's right.
You know, they could certainly say, well, we disagree with this, we think it's unconstitutional the way you wrote it, and absolutely throw the whole law out. But where they get the right to say, well, we're going to change your bill or your legislation, I don't know where they think
Yes.
they should have just sent it back. But they made a determination that, well, you know, there were amendments put on this bill that we don't think that bill would have passed had they not put those on. So they were trying to
Predict
look
what the
into the
legislature-
minds
yeah.
of the legislature who passed this and saying, because we don't think they would have done it if this wasn't on there, we're going to throw it out.
Pure speculation, not fact.
But it was not speculation, or it was not fact based. And frankly, it was so obvious that it was done because they didn't like us putting any restrictions on them. We didn't honor them by allowing them to come in and to our chamber, which was historic.
Yeah.
But you know, we have to stand up for the legislature as it is. You know, and if they want to defend themselves, they don't have to, because you know they're tenured into their job. But you know, enough's enough.
Yeah, we so that it is, and we represent the people, and it is we the people.
Okay.
It's not we the 7 black robes across the street.
And they were appointed and we were elected.
Is it
Let's be
Illinois?
clear to our voters out there.
Not for housing.
We understand that we have to pay for government.
You have to have money to operate your government.
We need to operate. There's nothing that we want to do that's going to cut anything that's vital to this state.
Mhm.
Is there stuff we can cut that's not vital? Always.
Right.
being the fact that we came in here with a $28 billion budget, and
And-
8 years later
Yeah.
it's $54 billion.
Right.
Obviously, inflation
No.
was
Well,
nowhere
and-
close to that,
Right.
and we probably should have done a better job.
Well, and a lot of that was
Here-
federal money from
I know.
COVID, and it was supposed to
Well-
be passed through. So we're
Well,
gonna get
actually, yes, certainly we had some stimulus money, but a lot of that $6.5 billion in reserve, about 3.5, almost 4 billion of it was natural, what we would consider natural GR from a lot of different sources. But the reality is that even considering all of that, we don't really have a revenue problem in Missouri. We have a spending problem. And so just like you would expect, there's only one problem worse than not having enough money in government, and that's having too much money in government.
Well, Ronald Reagan said it best: "You control government by the amount of money you give them."
Well,
And,
as it turns out, I have filed a bill, will be heard on Monday,
mhm,
called the Taxpayer Protection Act,
mhm.
which reins in government spending.
Very good.
There's government grows,
Mhm.
but what makes it grow? Well, inflation makes it grow. Population
Makes it grow.
Makes it grow. We haven't grown population-wise, but we should.
We're growing a little bit, 3%.
So basically, the TABOR is what we call it, the Taxpayer Protection Act, limits how much government can grow. It just says that all levels of government in the state of Missouri shouldn't grow faster than the rate of inflation and the rate of population growth.
Mhm.
And if they are taking in more money than that, then they need to give it back to the taxpayers.
Mhm.
It's very simple. It's it's exactly what we need. I think it's as important, if not more important, than reducing taxes. If we reduce
Yes.
the amount we spend, we don't need to raise more tax, and we can give some of that money back to the taxpayer. It's worked in other states. Colorado took this up in '92, I think. And even though that state has gone totally off the rails,
They went blue.
their government lives within their means, and the taxpayers see a great benefit from that. They've tried to overturn it a number of times, take it back to the ballot, and the
People don't.
the citizens said, we like these controls because they make for good government. And if anybody's been to Colorado, that place doesn't look like it's falling apart. It's growing.
Yeah.
I like that bill. I did look at it, Jim, so I
Yeah.
hope it. Have you had a hearing on that one yet?
Monday.
Good luck with that.
Okay, you might want to co-sponsor that.
You know what? I'm going to go back to my office, probably get that done this week. So
I have another bill in that vein. It's my unfunded mandate bill, so that whenever we pass something up here and we shove it down to the local governments and leave it up to them to try to figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah.
So we either have to pay for it, provide the mechanism for how it's paid for, or they can put off employing whatever it is until it's paid for. And our local governments have been suffering through a lot of stuff that we wanted to do, make us feel good,
Yeah.
but the reality is it cost them a lot.
we have to be cautious with that. I don't mind passing things to cut taxes, but if we are cutting taxes against them, which reduces their services without them having some feedback, we have to be cautious with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not cutting anything with TABOR. I'm just
Yeah.
saying continue to grow.
Yeah.
And if you need more money, you can go to the voters,
That's right. They have
which
that
is
ability
where
to
it
do
should
that.
be.
Well, I've said this before to my chamber events and stuff down in Southeast Missouri, and I always tell them if there's $1 in money to be spent, there's $10 in request.
Oh, absolutely.
And I use this comment here, and I think I actually got a quote on that. It says, "Only for me, not for thee." And so if I come and ask for something for, let's just say, a particular segment of our government wants more money, schools. Okay, if we give them more money, do we cut prisons? Or do we go and we increase tax credits for agriculture? All those arguments come up. And so I've found that, if it's one group, if it's not affecting them, they're supportive of it. But if it does affect them, guess what? They're not supportive
Absolutely.
Well,
So-
and that was pretty evident in the hearing yesterday on sending this to the ballot to reduce the number of people that came up and said, well, we like the idea of spreading this use tax across the board, but we want an exemption.
Right.
Lawyers didn't want it.
Yes.
Nobody
Isn't that
wanted.
Right.
Everybody else can pay this, but don't put it on me.
I don't want to have to pay.
The deal is if we can do this right and grow the state, we don't have to cut anything.
That's right.
Right.
There'll be plenty of money out
I
there.
agree.
So, what's on the horizon for Citizen Barry?
Well,
Are you going to be running for governor here in a few years?
no,
or
I do
what's
not
your
have the
plans?
support, and I'm a terrible. I don't know if you know this or not. I cannot raise. I'm not good at asking for money, and I've always been one. I get a few donations along the way. Somebody said, "Oh, all the lobbyists are evil up here if that PAC sends you money," but I say, "Hey, I'm a Missouri cattleman. I belong to the organization. They sent me a check for $500 one time." And when you talk about PACs and lobbyists, the teachers, everybody has one up here.
Yep.
And, some of them are good. Most of them are. They're honest. They tell you stuff. And I use this example. I was in law enforcement. I served on a pension board. I've raised cattle. I farmed my life growing up. And if somebody comes and talks to me about a law enforcement issue, I don't say insider knowledge, but I've been experienced with it. You were an engineer. You do surveying. I've asked you about stuff like that
Yes,
before.
absolutely.
You've been a businessman. I've taught you. And I tell people that, it's good to have people come from different segments, because then if I need to talk to someone about a medical issue, I'll go talk to Doc or somebody like that knows it. And I think that by having that up here, that's good. But you just never know what you're going to run into up here. I've had people that have called me and they said, "Oh, you're supporting this and this is terrible." And I said, sometimes I have to count on other people to give me what I think is sage advice on what helps the state.
So that sounds suspiciously like a campaign speech. So I guess we are expecting you.
I'm not running for anything at this time, just to clear that up. My dad still runs cattle. He's 83. May work something out with him on that. If I get asked to do something that I think's a fit for me and I can actually provide assistance, I would consider that.
Well, I can say after having served with you for these past almost 8 years now, it's been a pleasure to serve with you. And,
you guys are good men.
And you have been a good legislator. You've been good for your district. And I would even say that publicly.
Well,
So-
I heard you're running for Senate. How's that going so far?
Well, it goes like you can expect. But, Senate races are Senate races, right?
Well, there'll be people find lots of bad things to say about you, and there'll be a few things good said about you.
So
I
no
think you're a
different,
good man.
So no different than before.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
I think the one thing we can look back at over the last 8 years is the people we've met.
I've made some good friends up
been
here.
Good friends, and I was talking to my son the other day, and he says, some of these people, when you first met them, you thought, I remember this guy. He said, he never shuts up. I don't know if I can stand him. He turns out to be one of my best friends. And he doesn't shut up. But that's okay.
Yeah.
But I don't care if it's 10 years from now, if I have 20 years left, 20 years from now.
I'm sure you do.
If I come down to your neck
I'm
of the
taking you out
woods,
to dinner.
I'm going out to lunch and
That's
dinner
right.
with you, and this guy, absolutely, I'm going to do that. So
So
I heard you
but
got a
that's
nickname
what-
while you was up here. I know your last name's Mayhem. Oh
Mayhem.
no, I'm sorry, Mayhew.
Mayhew.
That's a joke.
So
Everyone out there.
I got to say one last thing about my good friend Barry. I was just driving through one time, and that's not been that long ago.
No, it hasn't.
And so I thought, well, I'm driving to the district. I'll give him a call. And so I called him. And he said, "What are you doing down here?" And I told him, and he goes, "Well, you going to spend the night?" I said, "No, I haven't planned on it." And he goes, "Well, if you want to," he said, "come on over." He said, "I got a spare bedroom." And now I could probably list several of the folks that I know for a fact have made that offer to me many times. My good friend
Good.
Representative
Yep.
Murphy,
Yep.
Representative West, and have taken them up on it before. And obviously, I extend the same thing back. But these are friendships, quite honestly, folks, that we've
There's-
developed
yeah.
that
they're
will
lifetime
last
friends at
beyond
this
our
point.
service here.
Nobody quite understands what it's like, the day-to-day things we do, the subjects we have to look at, all of those things.
Right. Well,
it's
I
pretty
tell people-
intense, and
There's
only we can share that
I
because
agree.
we've done it.
And I will say this, people will complain about politicians, and we rightfully earn some of that criticism. But when I got up here, I told them the people that I've met are very good people. 90% of them are great people. They're here for the right reasons. And, you know, a lot of them are going to come up here and serve, do their 8 years if they're reelected, their term limits, and they're going to go back and be citizens where they live. And that's what the bulk of us do.
Yeah.
And I just think that, I don't know, what are you going to do? We didn't get to ask you. I've been wondering about this.
Oh, my loved one's going to take my place.
Well, she'd be a good. I like her better than I do you.
Everybody likes her
I
better than me.
always thought we had the wrong Murphy rounded
I
anyway,
thought so too, because she's a lot nicer.
But
Joking.
Her knowledge and ability will far exceed mine.
You're
I'm
not giving
very
yourself
happy
credit.
with
So
that. Well, guys, I think we're running a little long. So
Yeah.
we probably did, but we had a great discussion.
we did.
Thank you.